Chapter 1. The windows in the nursery were wide open, their lace curtains billowing in the breeze. Emily folded baby clothes, placing them neatly into the chest of drawers. She sighed with contentment. The beautiful weather, unseasonably warm for post-Labour Day, was most welcome. Feeling a little tired, Emily sat in the nursing chair and rested a protective hand on her belly. Baby Charlotte was squirming around inside. "Do you like the Indian summer?" Emily asked her. 90 degrees at this time of year isn't the norm. You'll have to get used to the cold at some point. Baby Charlotte was due in December, on the cusp of winter, in just 3 short months. Emily could hardly believe how quickly the pregnancy had gone, and how fast the time had flown by. The weather they were enjoying at the moment made winter seem very far away, and Emily certainly wanted to keep it that way. Because with each new season that dawned, Emily thought of her father, of the fact that it would be the last time he'd ever experienced that particular season. She tried very hard to keep his terminal illness from her mind. Every time she spoke to him, which was daily, he didn't mention it, instead telling her of all the fun activities he had planned. And the letters were starting to stack up now. They'd promised to write each other a lifetime's worth of correspondence. Roy wasn't wallowing in his impending demise, so Emily wasn't going to either. The door flew open then, and in waltzed Chantal. She was carrying a packet of diapers in her arms. "Where should I put these?" she asked. "On the changing table, please," Emily said, smiling at her sweet daughter. She and Daniel were going out of their way to make Chantal feel included. At the moment, that took the form of her buying a practical item of her choice from the grocery store on each trip. Today it was diapers. Yesterday it had been binkies. She'd also purchased bottles, burp cloths, teething rings, and a rattle. Emily loved the way Chantal found purpose in her task. She took it very seriously. Chantal walked over to the changing table and dumped the diapers down. Then she turned and faced Emily. "Have we had any news yet?" she asked. Emily knew Chantal was referring to the island that she and Daniel had put an offer on. She asked every day. Emily checked her cell phone for what must have been the millionth time. She saw no missed calls or messages from the real estate agent. She looked at Chantal and shook her head. "Not yet." Chantal pouted with disappointment. "When will we find out?" she asked. "Will it be before Charlotte arrives?" Emily shrugged. "I don't know, sweetie." She stroked her soft blonde hair. "You do know we might not definitely get it, right?" She'd been preparing Chantal for the worst from the get-go, but the little girl had a tendency to get carried away at times. She talked about the island as though it were a definite, bringing up in conversation how great it would be once they could go and play on the island, or how pretty it would look once Daniel had finished the construction work there. "I know," said Chantal, a little glumly. Emily smiled brightly then, seeing that the child needed cheering up. "Come on, let's go downstairs and get some lunch." Chantal nodded and took her hand. They headed into the kitchen together. To Emily's delight, Amy sat at the kitchen island. She'd been in Sunset Harbour for weeks now, staying with her new boyfriend, Harry, dipping her toes in the water of domesticity. Emily loved having her nearby, and Amy was certainly making the most of dropping around whenever she had time between conference calls and remotely managing her business. She was drinking coffee and chatting with Daniel, who was busy putting away the last of the groceries. He kissed Emily as she entered. "Hey, gorgeous," he murmured, fixing one of his intense looks of love on her. Emily smiled and stroked a finger along his firm jawline. She murmured, "Hey." Just then, Amy coughed. Emily tore her gaze from Daniel and looked over her shoulder. "Hi, Ames," she added to her friend, rolling her eyes jovially. It still felt unusual for Emily to have Amy so readily accessible. Her temporary move to Sunset Harbour had been wonderful for them both, bringing back the easy friendship they'd shared before Emily disappeared from New York City without telling her. And Amy's organisational skills were certainly useful when it came to planning the logistics of Charlotte's birth. "I didn't know you were coming over today," Emily said to her friend. "I just came to speak to Dan about the checklist," Amy replied. Emily took a seat opposite her, frowning with curiosity. "What checklist?" "Of baby things," Amy said in a tone that suggested it should have been obvious. "You need your night bag ready for the hospital, a plan of how to get there, where to park, who to call.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.